Be careful. Hey, excuse me.
Reach it with his hand.
Here, I'll lift you up.
That was awesome. Where am I?
Trouble, stay away from my door. Trouble, stay away from my door. Trouble, come back, don't come around no more. Trouble, stay away from my door. Never stay away from my home. Never stay away from my home. Never go on back and leave my soul alone. Never stay away from my home. Never come around me no more. Never come around me.
Well, I did it. And it hurts. I hope I didn't go too deep. I tripped over a stump in the process of cutting another stump. And I don't even know how I did it, but somehow I jammed the side of my foot and the chainsaw kind of right in together as I was falling. I touched my foot against the side of the chainsaw, and I can feel it. I can tell. I haven't even taken my boot off yet. I can see blood and meat all over in it. Doggone it. Well, I can move my toes. But because it was a chainsaw, it kind of removed the skin that would be stitched up. It's not down into my foot. I recognized what was going to happen as it was happening, and I kind of pulled my saw away, so I barely bumped it. But YouTube's not going to let me show you this. I'll have to go over to Instagram and post it over there, because I don't care so much what Instagram thinks of my stuff. But it hurts. There's nothing worse. I don't know why I couldn't have just bumped my shin or something like that. But man, across the top of the foot, this is going to hurt. And it's going to take a long time to heal. I think I was cutting on that tree. And I don't know, somehow I tripped over something and I was losing my balance like I'm doing right now with my hurt foot. And the direction I stepped to steady myself was right where the chainsaw came out of the other side, and I just barely touched the side of my foot, and that's all it took. So, okay, you can hear the cows bawling in the background. I'm currently sitting on National Forest looking at the property line that separates my land from the National Forest. And we stopped fencing up on that knob. So from that knob down, there's still, the T-posts are there, but there's still fencing that has to be repaired. This is the first year where they have not gotten all over everybody's property, and that's all because of that upper fence. That upper fence that we repaired now prevents those cows from getting to the back of our property and kind of wandering their way down. But this week, if I can do it, if I can handle it, if my foot's not bothering me too much, I'm going to try and ride the four-wheeler up there and keep working on that fence. But this so far has been the best year. We've had the least amount of cows in our backyard. The cattle guard's kind of the weak link right now, although I just drove some T-posts into it to kind of prevent the cows from stepping over it. But these cows are, they're just hungry and they're looking for feed. I think they spend another week or two in this section right here, and then they move them one more range over. So maybe between that new fencing that we installed and if I can get the rest of that fencing fixed, maybe we're done dealing with the cows, which wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. But you can see all of the bushes are maple trees that are trying to come back, because 7 years ago they came in here and literally just clear cut everything. They don't use any herbicides to kill these trees, thank goodness, but they do clear cut them. And so by thinning out the trees the way that I'm doing it, my hope is that we have a really good mixture of both trees and grass, as opposed to a bushy hillside like what this has turned into. But anyway, this is ranch country. I knew the drill when I moved up here. I knew that we would probably have to deal with other people's cattle for a long time, and I don't really have a big problem with it, but I would like to get to where all the fences are repaired. Another day in life. Walking around on a sore foot, all because I was in a hurry last night. Now I got a bum foot and too much work. So by having it cleaned up and fenced, that should be one more step in the process of keeping the cows off our property. But because I cut my foot yesterday with a chainsaw, I'm just going to finish cleaning up this little bit right here and take the excavator back. This is the second time I've rented the excavator for 5 days, 5 full days. And I've probably only put about half the time on it that I wanted to. So I got to get my own excavator. That's the problem. I have to find another excavator. If my excavator that is currently sitting at the dealership, if they don't get that fixed fairly soon, which I don't feel like they're going to, I'm going to lose my entire summer before that excavator is done. So I'm still looking for another excavator. Like everything else, it's just all crazy right now. So.
Tell me, mama, when did things go wrong? Tell me, mama, when did things go wrong? Tell me, mama, when did things go wrong? Well, I'm hurting now, but I won't be hurting long. You made me leave you, and now you want my love. You made me leave you, now you want my love. You made me leave you, now you want my love. I'm sorry, but I can't give you enough. Call me up, brother, when the good times come. Call me brother when the good times come. Call me brother when the good times come. Well, I'm hurting now, but I won't be hurting long.
I'm trying to consolidate these piles of brush. And I'm also trying to move them up the hill a little bit, meaning further away from the road. I don't know when it's going to be safe enough to burn these piles, but because of where we're at, I need to be really sensitive to that. So basically, I'm just trying to consolidate these piles, and then I have to return that excavator in about 4.5 hours. But I'm just trying to make the use of it without hopping around on my foot too much, and it's not working. I've already spit the track off the excavator and had to jump down and put that back on. So I need to just go sit in the excavator and do what I can with the little bit of time that I have left with the machine.
Tell me, mama, when did things go wrong? Well, I'm hurting now, but I won't be hurting long. Say you're going to find another man. Say you're gonna find another man. Say you're gonna find another man. Oh, ain't no one here can love you like I can.
Okay, if you must see the pictures of the cut, go to our Instagram page and check it out. I'll put a couple of pictures up there, one with my boot freshly off and one what it looks like a couple days later. When I was probably 25 or 26, when we were living in Gilbert, Arizona, we had a house on an acre that had an irrigation ditch that went right by it. And enough water went through that ditch that I worried that our 3 older kids now were obviously much younger then. I worried that one of those kids was going to get in that ditch, and especially Rhett. Rhett was probably 3 at the time. He just was infatuated. That's my tetanus shot, by the way. 5 days into this thing, that's what hurts more than anything else. Not my foot, the tetanus shot I got in my arm. I'm always amazed. Anyway, I was worried that something would happen to my kids in that ditch. So one day I took all 3 kids out there. It was middle of the summertime. They were playing in the water anyway. I think they had swimsuits on, if I remember right. And my solution to this curiosity, especially with Rhett, was to go downstream a little bit in the ditch and let him jump in and let him see how fast the water was moving. Sage jumped in. Sage was fine. She was probably 7 at the time. Cheyenne jumped in. It kind of tossed her over. Rhett jumped in, and immediately I had to grab him. But what later happened in that day, a little scratch that I had on my shin from who knows what, all of a sudden had a very interesting feeling. But I was too young and dumb at that time to pay too much attention to it. But the next morning when I rolled out of bed, I tried to put weight on that left foot, and it felt like needles or nails were being pushed into the bottom of my foot. I still went to work that day. Sometime that afternoon, I couldn't walk, and the guy that I worked for asked what was going on, and I showed it to him, and it hid the collar around this little scratch, this little tiny surface scratch. What it looked like, the guy that I worked for said, "You got to go to a doctor right now." I went to my family doctor, pulled my pant leg up. He saw it. He sent me to a specialist. I went to the specialist. The specialist was certain I was diabetic. I told him I most certainly was not diabetic, but that I had some sort of an infection in my leg. And he put me on these giant pills. From that point on, that was the first staph infection I'd ever had. From that point on, almost like clockwork, every couple of years I would get a staph infection that would either end up being in one of my hands or my left foot. So this left foot that I now have another infection in is the second time I've had a staph infection in it. So it seems to be that once you get a staph infection, you're somewhat vulnerable to staph infections. But I started taking a supplement 12 years ago that seemed to take that infection away. I don't know if it's a simple coincidence, but I haven't had any issues with anything like that in probably 12 or 13 years. I cut my foot on Friday. By Sunday, I was in the emergency room, and of course, the doctor and the nurses are all looking at me like I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, and they put me on the gnarly antibiotics. So the long story short is I'm taking it easy. I'm doing light duty stuff. I really need to have my leg up. This might be the one thing that'll shut me down, because I know the potential with MRSA and with staph infections, and I'm not playing that game any more than I already have. And I'm a little bit irritated with myself that I allowed it to get to this point. But anyway, Sunday we'll have another video back up. I'm still working on the siding, trying to get all the siding finished up. And I'm still able to break down the solar panels, so I've been working on that as well. And I even found a minute to work on the Ford tractor, the newer tractor that I picked up. I need to get that front hub fixed so I can use that tractor to clean up all the little brush and debris with a landscaping rake. But it's never a good sign when you walk into the pharmacy and you get a prescription and the pharmacist says, you're not supposed to take these 2 antibiotics together. You know that, right? And I said, that's not how the doctor prescribed them. And he called the doctor and called me right back and said, take them. Don't take them at the same time. Spread them out, but you got to take those together. And one of those prescriptions was for MRSA. One was for staph. I didn't take the one for MRSA. I hate antibiotics. I've been on antibiotics my whole bloody life since I was a kid with ear infections. I hate antibiotics. I think they've ruined me in some aspects. That's why I use these healthy probiotics. But I didn't take the MRSA medication for 2 days. And that seems to have been the issue because I finally started taking the MRSA medication and it's helping, but I'm not going to mess around with it. I need to take it easy. I need to probably keep my foot elevated for a little bit and pay the price for my poor decision. So anyway, we will see you in a few days.
Hi.